So next up, it's trending in Q1, a panel moderated by Nick Brown, and we're going to talk about esports, slots game releases, and other crazy stuff that's happening in the first quarter of 2022. Nick, are you here?
Hi, Zoltan. Yes, I am.
Hi, nice to see you. All right, so you have a royal flush in your hand, so have to take advantage of it and take care.
Great stuff. Hi, everybody. Good to meet you. As Zoltan has mentioned, my name is Nicholas Brown. I'm a senior account director at Square in the Air. Hopefully, most of the audience will have heard of us already. We do PR for the majority of the suppliers in the gaming industry. On today's panel with me, I have firstly CCO of Evoplay, Vladimir Malakchi. Evoplay are an incredibly exciting slots provider. They released the fantastic, well, almost seminal game Star Guardians at the end of last year, which has made a massive amount of waves in the industry so far. The CEO as well, alongside Vladimir's partner, Ivan Kravchuk, won SBC Leader of the Year award at the SBC Awards in December, and will bring a lot of interesting insights today in terms of innovation and the next-gen player experience. Next up is Arcangelo Lonoce, Head of Business Development for Habanero. He's been in the industry for more than 20 years and has worked alongside the likes of BetVictor and the operator side before starting out at Habanero to build it into the fantastic brand it is today. Next up is Alex Iaroshenko, who is CEO of Betbazar, a great client of Square in the Air and good friend. They are behind some of the meteoric rise we saw in esports last year, supplying the likes of Bet365, William Hill, Fortuna Entertainment Group, to mention a few, and has evolved this year into offering one of the industry's most comprehensive entertainment ecosystem platforms available. Last but not least, we have Ernest Lewicki, who is Head of Sales for BETEGY. BETEGY, who won the EGR award last year for innovation, deal with engagement and player interaction across the entire omni-channel, everything from the likes of data and content for Paramatch, Sportsbet.io, Tipico in Germany, and ESPN and Yahoo in the US. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Nick.
So I will speak less as the call progresses, but just to set the agenda for everyone joining us today. So we're going to take a broad overview of trends in Q1, everything from slots to the return of retail over to the likes of esports. Given that we have mutual interests across Germany and Italy, we will use these two markets as key case studies. When it comes to key trends, we will look to talk about gamification in slots, the rise of esports and high velocity betting, where we are with operator marketing today, especially given evolving European restrictions, as we touched on in the last panel, and of course, the return of retail and land-based, again, with Italy and Germany as a focus. And last but not least, something that I think all of you get very well is the evolving demographic of player and what the new demand is for entertainment this year. So, gentlemen, over to you. First things first, an outlook for Europe. How do we see 2022 in the light of, shall we say, performance post-pandemic?
Everybody, always people are trying to start first. Okay, let me do this for all. So first of all, hello, nice to be here. Nice to see you, Nick. So 2022, each year after pandemic, everybody is just caring, what's going on, what will be with this world and how it's moving, and what I'm seeing the second year about. So the same situation always, we're just growing. Under I mean the full market is growing, the full market of online. As I see, a lot of options inside offline is opening. A lot of countries, some countries are thinking about opening and just stop COVID restrictions and so on. Some already announced them, and like UK, one of the biggest player on the market, already announced that they will stop COVID restrictions. So that means that offline will open as well. So what we're seeing from the point of market, everything is still growing, and I think this won't stop. So at least for about 5 years, we'll meet the same situation each year, because I told this from the early beginning that there are a lot of things inside iGaming, inside gambling and all that can be improved and can be done. And each year, a lot of companies are growing, they're adopting, they're evolving. And so inside evolution, everything will be growing. So I don't think, something will change. And from my point of view, for me, it's very cool to see that we're seeing a lot of additional things that are growing. Like we are seeing the new trends inside that are taken from usual entertainment worlds, and we're adding them to iGaming. For me, like gamification process, a lot of companies are speaking about it, not only inside, slots or some instant games, some, offline, everywhere. So we're seeing that this trend is implementing inside iGaming, inside gambling. And that's kind of trend that we will see, for 3 more years as well. So probably guys will add something else.
Yeah, that was the great observation in terms of everything is growing. And I would add to this that everything is growing even besides some of the restrictions that is happening into that territory or another. So we see like the Georgian market was being more restricted now in terms of legislation, Armenian market as well. The Italian markets keep being quite restricted. And I mean, it's because we are like trying to integrate new product into those markets, and it takes time. But besides this, we see the value into all of the new products. So I'll be talking more today about the esports and about the sports side of the business. So under this section, under this domain, we definitely see a massive growth, and we definitely keep seeing this. I would even more straightforward, I would expect even 10 years from now, things going to be growing, going to be developing and extending. But definitely to add to what Vladimir mentioned is that, we're going to see more gamifications, more inbuilt like social things in the gaming. So more, if you will, TikTok experience, Netflix experience, all this kind of stuff. Merge and create as a result new experience into betting, into entertainment. So this is how actually was the Q1 is a Q1 growing and developing, and this is how it will be trending a couple of years from now.
So we're seeing a strong surge in terms of growth. Restrictions are ending, but at the same time, we're going to see continued advertising restrictions and the like, which will probably be a hindrance for the year ahead. From your side, Arcangelo, you've been in the game for a very long time. I mean, how you see things playing out in Europe at the moment, and as well as Italy, how much of a change have we seen in the last 2 years, and how much do you see this being permanent when it comes to the casino side of things?
Right. First of all, hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. I totally agree with my colleagues here. The outlook is positive. My outlook is also positive. That is also due to the fact that the industry seems to have reacted quite maturely to a series of challenges that regulators have put in the way. Now, before I get misinterpreted, it's really important to notice how regulators have got very legitimate demands to which we as an industry need to react. The thing is, in some cases, regulators have come out with restrictions, and I'm happy to be linking this with the latest panel before us that have made things slightly complicated to manage. So the market most European markets appear to be very mature and moving towards the right direction. Of course, the last couple of years have presented some tidal changes in some cases. And since you mentioned Italy among these, Nick, Italy is a typical case of a pretty mature online market. Of course, I introduced myself as I am head of business development for Habanero. We only make online slots. So all that we look at is effectively online, at least as far as our core market is concerned. Of course, we're aware of what happens around us. And being Italy one of our main markets, we of course have seen or have felt the changes that have happened in the past couple of years. So to cut a long story short, and just to explain further where I'm going, is that effectively we do see a lot of growth in the online market, for example. So we have benefited from some of the changes that have happened in the market. However, he has to also be highlighted that if you look at the tax contributions of the whole online segment in Italy, things are not looking very, very good compared to 2019. So there is a concern, and the concern is how mature is a market that keeps growing, but for some reason doesn't seem to contribute more to the tax coffers, and how much of this is, for example, related to the fact that there is an advertising ban in Italy, and in general there has been a lot of demonization going on about the industry and the legal industry effectively. So the licensed industry. The only reason why I'm saying these things and focusing about Italy is because Italy is a really interesting case study in regards to European markets, and not just European markets, as you all would know. Italian regulation predates a lot of other regulations around the world. It's been looked at, it's been sometimes copied, sometimes bettered, and so forth. Advertising ban is another one of those things where Italy sort of come first, right? So, the fact that this has happened just before the pandemic, where there have been inevitable changes in entertainment demand from people who have been locked inside the house for a long time and have been unable to go to shops, then poses a lot of questions and a lot of challenges. So my outlook is definitely positive, because what I see is a very mature industry full of very mature stakeholders who are fantastic at looking out of the box and effectively even, how would I say, predate regulators into coming up with solutions to a very natural and very welcome development towards the changes that we're seeing between some sort of old-fashioned idea of gambling into a more open form of entertainment, like my colleagues were suggesting earlier. We just need to be aware of the fact that there's lots of changes coming left, right, and center. And we were listening to Sweden earlier on, and we will be talking about Germany, and I'm sure we all have something to say about it. And of course, I just touched on Italy. So that's where we're at the moment.
I think that's a great insight. And thank you for the side of things on it. Sorry, Vladimir, you had something to add.
Yeah, but I will just answer in some case on this point. So like I provided it creating a lot of new stuff, and we're testing a lot of things. So in case of Italy or Germany, that doesn't matter. I can easily tell you that it's not a problem to adapt the product into some regulations. I can't agree that a lot of regulations are very easy to be implemented. No, they are in some cases are strange, in some cases are very difficult from the technical point of view to be implemented. But anyway, even if we are talking about stock audience, like additional another way of product, which is very difficult for understanding for certification laboratories, they are really like looking at us like crazy and asking not to create something like this always. And also if we're talking about some instant games, which are like each of them are very difficult. If we're talking about the slots, they are very similar. So if you implement in one game, you will just copy to another. It can be done by some config files. But when we're talking about some new stuff, yep, you're correct here. For government, mostly for certification laboratories, as government already trialed them, it is a bit difficult case. But anyway, from our experience, what we're seeing exactly in Italy, or what we're preparing for Denmark and other markets, it is not a problem to implement. It takes some more time. It takes, I don't know, x2 times from usually to certify the first game. But another next steps will be very, very easy. So I don't see the big problem inside some certification cases of some markets, especially Italy. It is more difficult from the document point of view. There are a lot of like additional things that need to be done. So it's usually just additional paperwork. But from at the end of the day, the games will be implemented and will be adopted.
No,
the same will be with gamification.
Sorry. If I can just add to this, Vladimir, the concern that I was venting wasn't really about challenges in regards to operating in the market. We've been enjoying a spectacular growth over the past couple of years, so I really shouldn't be venting about Italy. We grew to 161% since 2019, just to give you an idea of how much we grew. And that's not just because the market has grown and has switched towards online. That has also, I have to say, honestly, we are at a stage where we're still switching on new clients. So that inevitably adds to the growth of the company. That really wasn't my concern. My concern is most related to the fact that the advertising gambling advertising is the ban that we have in Italy is a typical concern of the industry, where, for example, once you invest into a regulated market and of course you try and be a part of a natural journey towards a sustainable industry, which is effectively state sanctioned and doesn't. And it's not looked at as some sort of problematic industry, then the fact that tax contributions have gone down so much, which could be down to a lot of reasons, of course. For example, the payouts of online slots is inevitably higher than retail, and retail has been inevitably impacted really heavily over the past couple of years. So that could be a reason where the spend has effectively gone down, or at least has gone down effectively compared to 2019 in the overall Italian gambling industry. But my concern is the fact that we could actually be enjoying in a lot of the regulatory frameworks that we have in Europe, a wonderful, sustained growth without being inevitably demonized and impacted into creating issues for the whole market, for the overall sustainable and healthy growth of the market. This is the concern that I was venting. So, the online market is a great story over the past few years because of COVID. Let's face it, because of a lot of retail has been shut. The problem is that a lot of our clients have actually suffered because a lot of them have got a retail presence. And even if they've grown online, a lot of them have actually suffered in the great scheme of things. So we need to find a way to make the market grow together with the regulators, and that was the only concern that I effectively put out. As far as everything else is concerned, I agree with you, Vladimir. Most regulations are workable. The Italian regulation poses some challenges, like you said, but it is not the end of the world. I mean, it can be worked absolutely. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, what I meant.
Oh, I think that's a really valuable insight, and thank you for joining us today, Arcangelo. I think these kind of things really give the audience the ability to see things and hear things they wouldn't usually. Ernest, from your side, if we look at BETEGY, obviously you guys do engagement casino as well, but if we look at principally sports betting in Europe right now and the splits between retail and online, how has BETEGY seen the last 2 years with the likes of, let's say, your retail work in Germany with Tipico? What's the player split right now? And do you have confidence that we're going to see German, for example, betting fans going back to betting shops anytime soon? Or has this changed forever? Is online now king for everybody?
Hi, everybody. First of all, we see a lot of confidence in our clients in coming back to retail. And I don't mean only in Germany, but also in UK now, in Poland, in Romania. We see that retail is going to make everyone. At least this seems to be the confidence of some of the industry leaders that we work with. But at the same time, they're taking the opportunity to reinvent retail. Okay? As people go back to the shops, we can create a totally new experience for the clients there, using the lessons we've had from online as well, and sometimes combining all those combining what we do in online, what operators do online, and do in the retail point. So you can create an omni-channel experience for each client and engage them both on the mobile and on their computer and in the retail shop. And sometimes using even digital outdoor campaigns to direct people to the shops, just for a more exciting experience. So we are brimming with confidence, I could say.
Nice one, fantastic. So it is very much about the omni-channel in the year ahead. And I mean, from your side, Alex, when it comes to dealing with, especially the future of entertainment, which is what you guys do best, I mean, the rise of esports and things like that, is that pure online, or could we one day see people betting on esports in betting shops?
Well, they actually do right now, depending on what we call betting shop. So you have like a limited, one of the criteria actually I see recently in Spain. One of the criteria is, you have limited number of screens, obviously, and the events which is shown on the screen is the one that is quite valuable. And I was quite surprised to see somewhere like where we're, I don't remember the city, but like a small city, and just 2 screens. And one of the screens was this displaying this FIFA game that's one of our partners creating. So for me, it was like a big surprise, and a good surprise in terms of, this taking the 50% of the whole screen from the shop, meaning that this is important. This is something that people betting on. And recently, this is probably a coincidence, but we have 2 clients who start integrating this content, esports content, first into the shops with intention then to integrate it into online business. So one of them in the Azerbaijan, and the reason for this is, again, the restrictions I was talking previously. So in some way, they get restricted into betting on the RNGs, any kind of products. So this is why they look now into esports as the RNG and casino substitution, especially these fast esport games that provide similar experience. Other actually in Italy. So we have like one of the platform in Italy that will be distributing esports products solo to the shop, so only to the shops, not going to online, which showing that obviously shops and land-based entertainment keep their fair and big market share. Of course, the betting habit changed during the past 2 years, and people used to probably bet more online, bet more mobile. But if you have a good experience, and this especially social experience that we were talking about here in the shops, you are quite likely to repeat it and come back to the shops. And if everything works well for you, you have your friends there, you have some kind of community, then you're going to return there, especially when we talk about mature markets in this case, like Italy, like, Nordic countries. So, yeah, I believe that the future is quite divided between those two, and it will get the fair share of both. And again, coming back to my topic, and esports will be fair share of the content in the shops as well, because it is like in our everyday life. You can't avoid it now as the big part of sport now.
I think that touches on a very nice point. And even though 2 years ago, I think it was someone at Playtech, I won't say who, but I think someone at Playtech mentioned a couple of years ago that esports would always be a very niche betting product that sits alongside the larger betting products. But I mean, the way at least we've seen that in the last year especially, it's almost now a complementary product that's part of that sports betting mix and daily entertainment. Ernest, from your side, how much engagement are you seeing with esports compared to more traditional sports betting?
We see almost the same amount of engagement in esports as in traditional sports. More and more clients are turning to, including various esports leagues into their advertising mix. So judging from that, I see that the engagement into this niche within the niche is growing.
And from your side, for the slots experts on the panel, what do you see in terms of demographics moving forward, Jen? Are a lot of the players who've come online and given online casino try for the first time the last few years, are they the same type of new generation customer who also bets on esports as well? Or is there quite a big demarked line between these new players who'll give casino a try and the ones who'll get onto sports betting or indeed esports?
we can't just tell that, okay, new generation is, I don't know, is fan of only esports or some esports related games. It's not true. Always the audience have different demands. They are asking for different products, and that's the main case why each provider should like make the full diversification. But in past audiences, there were no interest in esports or some gaming development, like gaming related products. Let's call it like this. But inside new generations, as they were growing inside this entertainment world, inside this world, inside game dev, this like games are part of our life. Games are part of your life. I think everybody is playing at least one game. I think your wives, children, or even grandma and grandpas are playing some games. So this is a usual part. Like Alex told, we can't just avoid it. This is a native part. So yeah, what we're seeing, not like only in new generation, we're seeing of new players that are coming to some casino, to some betting sites. They are asking for such content. That's why Evoplay is creating games are very similar, keeping some usual mechanic similar to iGaming products. But anyway, we're trying to adapt them to a new demand, to a new kind of understanding of these products. Because I'm sure that old products won't work for them, and each year these demands will be higher and higher and higher. Because usually, like if we just jump, I don't know, 10 years before, people were not choosing very attentively. They were just buying something. After some crisis, they become more demanding, and they are just choosing new products very attentively. They are reading about them. They are just making review. They are asking for review. They are asking their colleagues, family, and so on about what is their opinion about such products and so on. So they choose very, very attentively. And each year, this attentiveness to different products where they spend money will just grow in, because people understand that the money they have spent, this is something valuable, and they should, and the amount of product where they can spend money is growing. So money are not growing rapidly, but the amount of products, amount of entertainment where each person can put money, this amount is growing like in geometrical progression. And inside of this, and like person had 100 euro in months to spend on some entertainment, probably it will be, I don't know, 100 and half. But the products was 100, and right now there are 1,000 of products. So he or she should think about where to spend it, and they are just choosing attentively. That's why products should develop on new ages and new continue upgrading and implement all the stuff that are connected to this.
It's a very salient point. And from your side, Arcangelo, as a real veteran, what do you see here in terms of trends and the evolution? Do you agree with Vladimir's point there, or is it still a case of a lot of the slots customers, especially for the Italian market, sticking with what they know?
No, I fully agree with Vladimir. I see the development of our industry within the entertainment industry going exactly as Vladimir said. So I do believe that there's going to be what we're looking at is a world where the consumer is going to be strongly immersed into an environment where they would choose different types of entertainment, possibly try different types of entertainment, and inevitably technological development and new ways of engaging with the user will be absolutely key in keeping the user entertained. So I agree things are going in that direction, and they will keep going in that direction because it's a natural development of our relation with the world and with entertainment in general, with our concept of entertainment, and with the way we use technology to enjoy entertainment. In regards to the product that we produce, of course, the product that Habanero produces is a product that barely looks like the same product was 10 years ago. It is still a relatively traditional type of product. within the gambling industry, especially if compared to what Evoplay have been doing, which, by the way, we've been looking at with extreme interest and curiosity and excitement over the years. At every show, we inevitably end up having a bit of a chat after the show, drinking, just mentioning, have you seen the new games by Evoplay? That's like, we've always been very curious and very excited by what you guys are doing. As far as what we do, of course, like I said, our product has developed massively in terms of the way we iterate, the way we narrate, the way we immerse, the way we storytell, and of course the way we entertain. In regards to the core of the product stays pretty much what we believe to be the very core of our experience in the industry. So we do make slots and table games, and we will keep making slots and table games. Obviously, keeping a strong eye on whatever new trend is out there, gamifying, making sure that we don't start moving too far off the path which we believe we can walk on firmly, strongly, and securely. At the end of the day, the mission of the company is to effectively provide the best possible experience in a slot environment or in a iGaming environment as we can, and streamlining every single aspect of what we do. So the games are developing. The mathematical models are changing. The way we engage players is changing through every single aspect, be it within the mathematical model and whatever other communicative element within the gaming experience. And we don't really see this ever going away, to be honest, provided that you manage to stay on top of the developments and to speak the same language as your users and to be at the zeitgeist of what's been produced, used, and enjoyed. So there is space for everybody, I think.
I think that's a great answer, and I do like especially mentioning about there being space for everybody. I think that touches on well that we're looking at multiple demographics. I mean, Alex, as someone who specialises across those multiple splits, what are you seeing from your side in terms of the evolution of players in that regard? I mean, is there a crossover between, let's say, esports and slots? Can a player within the same night of entertainment spend an hour, let's reduce that to 20 minutes spinning on slots, and then maybe another 20 minutes betting on esports? Is that a complementary product as the way you see it, or?
Well, it is definitely complementary products within the sport domain. Yeah, so if you go and see some kind of football match, which lasts like normally 90 minutes, then you probably will go and see some FIFA game in between, or, you know, when some just on their break, or is it, well, the reason for this creation of this fast velocity betting products is actually, I would name that this is like a slot substitutions in some way. So they offer the same experience. So you bet fast, you get your winning fast, and in terms of speed, it creates the very similar experience. But in terms of, you know, like overall, there is some demographic that likes this and some demographics that like betting into sports, and you will never convert them into like slots or some kind of other casino games. Well, but maybe this is not true. Maybe they like some other stuff of casino games or these fast games, I don't know, Clash or Bombs or whatever. But there is definitely like cross sell between these two, and especially in the way of acquisition and retaining the players. So I believe that you take more an acquisition in terms of like from sports or from esports, if you will, and then, you know, like getting them to play casino or other different experience. But to conclude this, I believe that the next like year or couple of years is about offering different kind of games. So you can't expect your client to be stick to something new, even if but to some one new thing. You should be offering something new things every single, I don't know, week or months, or how, like, depending on the product, or maybe some new market times or some new kind of events or slots or games. So yeah, this is how I think this development will go. But there is definitely the cross sell between those casino and sport events. I just can't say what is the percentage for now, depending on the client, depending on the territory, probably how hard they were into sports or into some kind of games. But yeah, this is happening.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you. And I think that brings us quite nicely on some expertise Ernest can bring to the table for us too. So if and Alex has touched on this concept of firstly, fresh, exciting, new content. There's always, players are there to be entertained. When it comes to, for example, let's say we'll use as a case study your Tipico operations in Germany. So you're managing, maybe 1,500 betting shops. When it comes to the incentive of firstly getting players into betting shops to bet, and also secondly, engagement for online casino, how can that work on the customer journey? I mean, if you're looking at your typical punter, let's say in Germany, who wants to go into a betting shop, are there ways, and are you seeing successful ways to then give that person the chance to give, let's say, online casino a try for whatever reason? Is there potential there as BETEGY sees it, or?
So far, we've seen that these are quite different segments. What I see, what might be interesting is that as betting becomes legal in most US states, we've seen much more interest from operators here in Europe to also engage people in betting on those sports. So content from those sports, and also, as Alex mentioned, for example, live betting on those sports becomes more and more popular. And there is no reason for the US operators not to be present here in Europe as well. And as TVs in the USA engage with operators there, they provide live. They can provide live statistics, for example, and live odds during the games, and have this instant, casino mentality also implemented.
I think that you touched on a really nice point there, and I think Alex is definitely going to love to talk about this. There's one area, and I've been keeping an eye on it myself, in that we're looking at high velocity betting products, let's say. So these events, in effect, they bring the casino experience to sports betting. Now, Alex, again, please correct me if I'm getting these descriptions wrong, because you'll do it far better than justice than I will. But the idea that you can make use of a game that is presented in casino format with fixed odds betting on the outcome, whether that's darts, a penalty shootout, or anything like that, that gives players, the opportunity to kind of slowly integrate themselves into the casino experience. I think Bet Games, for example, have done this quite well, as well as TV Bet.
Yeah, exactly. So, and especially this is important in a way how you present it actually on your website. So there's kind of like mindset that when you're going to bet into sports, I go to a sports section that I have all the list of events, and then I choose like between live and pre-match, and I go inside this events. I can have like a multiples bets, or like choose whatever I want. But then you go into section like you mentioned, TV bets or bet games, or like there's numbers of companies. They offering you is as the separate iframe. So you go like in their special screen with all fixed odds, as you said. And again, the event actually might be very similar to a sports event, or it can be actually actual sports event, like table tennis events or something like this. But the events are kind of predicted, already, especially if we talk about pre-match. If we talk about live, there will be a changing as game progresses. But again, this different interface overall. This is just this creates different experience, and then it's just very easy to switch from kind of sports betting to casino betting, because it just will be in the next step. You will have some kind of card game, or this penalties or hockey bullets. In the next step, this will be, I don't know, baccarat or something like this. So yeah, this merged now even more than it was, so that you don't need to go to a casino section. It will just follow your will to go into sports, and then from the sports you go into like more casino game, but experience very much similar. Yeah, this is how we see it now, high bet and velocity games.
So I think that touches quite nicely, and I think slots in that element, and Vladimir and Arcangelo, you're obviously more experts than I am on this, but it does lend itself well, perhaps, that the players, or the evolving demographics of players we're seeing now, to place bets on things such as the high velocity betting games that offer that similar casino experience. would you see this as a complementary product to Casino, or one that would actually be a competitor for Evoplay and Habanero?
I can't tell it is like competitor, to be honest, because from our experience, we have a lot of instant game that cover this or cover the demands of this audience. So if we compare with the slot games, like Alex told, you can't just transfer betting player once he's waiting for some match will be over and just transfer to casino games. I mean, to use the usual slotted table, he won't play. Like it won't work because another interest, another like fully another experience. And what we're seeing, but when you, it's very important for, again, like I can almost agree with Alex. So it very, very depends on the casino side. If they implement it like highly difficult to transfer to different section, and the person will lose his odds, and he won't looking at the stream of the match, it won't work. But if you just implement the window with the game, like penalty shootout, for example, for betting audience, it is working. That's what we're seeing when the betting website is helping us, and we are working in cooperation, and we implement our games, like special games that are created for betting audience. We implement them on the main page of the bets. It's always working because it's the same experience for people. It's like they are receiving what they're coming for, and that's the most important. So what is answering your question? I can't tell that it's competitive for us because we are preparing the same experience for players since ours for slot games. It can't be competitors as well because it is for another audience. If we compete, you need to compete for one audience, for the same audience. And if like slot providers are trying to reach exactly a betting audience, it is bad move from my point of view. So it is like, like if you're producing airplanes and trying to reach people who have no IDs to drive an airplane, the same. So, but if you're just producing the product especially for this audience, in this case, you just compete for the attention, because you can't just open several windows with different games and so on, because operator won't let you. Only one window maximum, 2 windows will be open for one player. So in this case, you compete for this for the person time, for the person money, for everything. So it depends on. In our case, we can agree that we will compete with such games. From usual slot provider, no, it's not competitive. I think Anton will agree with me here.
What do we think, Arcangelo?
I do agree. In fact, I mean, I was interested in what Alex had to say, and Vladimir following up, coming from an operator experience that spans over 15 years. Then when you work for bookmakers and you work on the casino side of things, you're always trying to find a way to cross-sell, and very often, I would say 99.9% of the times, cross-selling from sports into the casino side of things presents serious challenges. So if you look at things this way, then a product that finally puts itself in the middle of the two realms, I would say, and speaks to somehow both psychologies, then it's a really interesting bridge. You would agree with me. It's a bridge that, of course, needs to be looked at with a lot of interest, because at the end of the day, what we all want is to exist in a healthy environment, in a healthy, successful, thriving environment. This means that if the environment thrives, then if you have a good product, then and a good strategy, then you would also thrive together with your clients. So I believe with Vladimir when he says that these products do not compete with a more traditional type of slot provider fully. I agree. I also agree with the fact that these products can bridge the distance and the difference between a certain type of player and another. So it's early days, of course, and we'll look at how things move forward. We also need to never forget what we were saying earlier, that we believe that we exist and we will keep existing even more so into a world of multiple inputs, where the user, the customer, has full choice of the different type of entertainment that they want to enjoy at different times and for different purposes. So I think that also this is a notion that we shouldn't forget when we talk about bridging products, different types of products, new products that somehow answer the demands and the needs of different type of psychologies.
I think that's a fantastic answer. And I think you bordered us on quite nicely to the next chapter of this discussion. I mean, firstly, when it comes to the operator side of things and how we're looking at, let's say, marketing for the next 1 and 2 years. So we cover off some of the key markets that we could look at right now. Spain, for example, is bringing in new restrictions as we speak, including, I believe, loss limits for casino. Germany, we could have an entire day to talk about that, but we'll touch on the salient points in terms of operator restrictions. If we look over as well to the CIS, for example, let's say Russia, Kazakhstan, other places like this, RNG and casino is still yet to be regulated, but it will in time. If we look at the way our industry will evolve over the next 1-2 years, the big question to think about then is when it comes to operator marketing and the way that players are going to be interacted with, how much do you see that change in the next 2 years, and which markets will likely have the biggest regulatory restrictions? I mean, should we start with sports betting this time? Ernest, if you look at Europe at the moment and restrictions on, let's say, sports betting marketing, when it comes to affiliates, operators, or anything else, how much do you see the landscape changing in Europe over the next year, should we say?
Nick, I will have a hard time answering this because even when our clients face restrictions and cannot advertise per se, they can still do social media. So that's what we provide for them then, okay? So we are not really focused on restrictions in our business. Hard to say for me.
So more solutions.
I would be very happy.
Right?
I would be very happy to hear what other panelists have to say on this.
I don't think anybody is focusing on restrictions. Everybody is focusing on the ways to solve it. Very so good. It's not about what government will implement and why did it implement. So there is no time to think about this. There is only time. Okay, we like it is additional blocker. You know, like if you need to solve something, I think this is the main. I don't know the main functions of each manager. If you're seeing any blocker, you just need to solve it. You just need to destroy it, and just a business should grow. And for investors, it doesn't matter. Did you meet blockers on advertisement, or you can't reach any market, or you can't, and you don't know how to acquire a return player? It's your problem, guy. So if we still focusing on what restrictions will be and just trying to create some implementation, we will just spend time for easier. Let's solve the problem when they come.
I think that's to paraphrase Winston Churchill, don't bother me with problems, bother me with solutions. On your side then, Alex, I mean, are you seeing that in line with the way the industry is developing? I mean, you've been in the game for about 10 years now, including plenty of years at BetGenius. How do you see that happening in terms of sports betting and then marketing in that direction for operators over the next 2 years? Are we going to see an incredibly restricted Europe within a year where players can bet no more than £20 a month, things like this? Or do you see it liberalizing a lot more?
Well, I can tell you more about like CIS market and all this territory, and I see the restrictions here coming and, well, fortunately going sometimes. Every quarter something changing. I started with this. Georgia, new regulations, not allowed to advertise. Armenia, same case. In Azerbaijan, these was a changes. But again, like this will sound, obvious, but this all creates some kind of opportunities all the times. Like, when it's just restricted on RNGs, then you provide them with some kind of high betting velocity product and they take it. So, I mean, agree with Vladimir here. Why should we think about what bad going to happen? It will happen initially, but we don't know where it will strike. Well, from experience, because you mentioned this, I can tell that, of course, like Europe will be, and I think keep being like a more regulated market. So we see still that somewhere in like France and Spain, there is restrictions on the live betting on some like a certain market types. So you can't bet. And there you make some of the games not interesting for betting at all. So like esports is not interesting because you're betting on a pre-match, pretty honest. Yeah, it's interesting because you bet what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. And you know, probably based on your experience, statistics and information that you collect. But on the pre-match, it's less of excitement. It's going to be some kind of substitution to that. It's going to be some kind of, new rules. But I think on the other hand, industry and governments and regulatories will learn more about what it is like this new sports, what it is about esports, and hopefully will allow more. So now we've seen a very good progress here in Ukraine, with all the legalization and lots of companies entering the market. We have lots of new players because like great market. Why not? That's it.
I think that's a brilliant answer, and I especially commend you all on your proactivity. I think it's again focusing on solving problems rather than identifying problems is always the best approach, and probably why we can all be positive about the year ahead. So, as the next part of the panel, we're going to open up the floor to questions for the participants. Zoltan has shared quite a few of these with us. So, question number one is from David. Arcangelo, I have a feeling this one could be for you. How come, this is Germany, how come there is the Interstate Gambling Treaty 2021 active, but online casinos need to operate on the slot side with the MGA?
It's a difficult question for me to answer, very difficult. I'm not particularly strong on why Germany is being regulating and how Germany is being regulating in this way. I believe that they must have identified some sort of way of allowing some sort of an interrupted business with some of the existing players, so that they could be allowed to keep operating in a way or in another. We know that they've passed some particular regulations that have had a really strong impact on the stakeholders and on the players themselves. It's a new market. It's an interesting question to which I have to be honest, I don't really have an answer. I don't.
This is fine.
Not an exhaustive answer, at least for you, David. Sorry.
Zoltan very nicely has mentioned that Mr. Hoffman, who many of you will know, is also online. He is, if he is available, welcome to add to this answer if he likes. Or not, it was worth a try. This is an area of regulation, at least from my side. I'm not too much of an expert, but I definitely agree that to a certain extent, Germany is, off the record, a bit of a basket place in this regard. And I think that connects quite nicely. I mean, the MGA is still active in Germany. Is this the right way to move forward in terms of licensing, would you gentlemen say? I mean, Vladimir, you guys have been live there for a bit.
I think this will work, but not like, it's not a panacea. It will work for some years because for Germany, like Europe always was a bit slowly. So they are just very slow in any case. Where everything that is connected to some government solutions, it doesn't matter Germany, Italy, or some other countries. They need there are a lot of points where they need to use bureaucracy. They need to solve something and so on. That is giving us an option to operate under MGA in Germany. That's the only way. So not because this is the initial plan. Hey guys, let's like create some restrictions and okay, everybody will use MGA to avoid them. No, that wasn't the initial plan. This is just a situation that we've called on the past question. So it is just the option to avoid some restrictions. But anyway, we already made the restrictions on some changes of the game that already influence some slots, like a lot of games, and always influence the taxes, the income, revenue, and so on. So everything was influenced by these restrictions. So it doesn't matter if you're using MJ or you're not, like you're operating under other rules. But anyway, I can't know, but I'm thinking that in round 1 or maximum 2 years, we will meet a lot of new restrictions from Germany that will not even give us an option, that will make us must to receive some additional B2B license inside Germany, because this is what I'm seeing. This is the initial plan of this market. So they want to control everything, and this is understandable. From the government point of view, it's honest. They need to change some things to update them anyway, but from the government point of view, it's fully on it. They want to control their money. They come inside their country. Like, each government is in some cases like a business, and each business want to control the money that are inside of this business.
I think you've touched on that quite nicely, and I think the regulation, admittedly, in Germany is more heavy-handed than the rest. I mean, so if we wrap this up actually with a nice question that I will ask myself, because I'm personally very curious, and I'm grateful to have your expertise all together.
Just a second, Nick. Jörg, I see Jörg has switched on his camera. Maybe.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry for my delay. I was just to finish a phone call. That's why I couldn't join you immediately. But if you have a question on Germany, please let me know, and I'm trying to answer this question.
That is wonderful. I'm sure David in the audience will be very grateful. So the question is, how come there is the Interstate Gambling Treaty 2021 active, but online casinos operate on the slot side still with the MGA? Do you know why there is such a difference in, should we say, in the laws in this regard, or?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I wouldn't say it's based on the MGA license. Of course, many operators are operating with the Maltese license, but this license is not recognized in Germany. It's simply null and void. The main advantage of such license is that you are offering your products cross-border within the across the European Union. And in the past, that was the protective argument of that whole industry, that the German interdiction is an infringement of the freedom of services. So for today, the legal basis is different. There is no such real legal basis applicable at the moment. We call it a transitional regime. And that is something which is not based on any kind of law. It's just based on certain discretion. In September 2020, a group of people, the heads of the German state chancellery office, this is kind of a back office of prime ministers, they concluded a circular resolution and established that traditional regime, followed by so-called joint guidelines of the supervising authorities, the supreme gaming supervisory authorities. These guidelines were sort of an adaptation of the future of the now current law. So many restrictions, it is diverse limits like stake limits, deposit limits, spin duration minimum 5 seconds, no casino games, real casino games as table games and things like this. So this catalog of requirements was published on 30th of September. And the idea was everybody who is coming from I would call it gray market, some would call it black market, and wants to apply for a license, could apply for a license. And the condition was you need to apply all these requirements and make your offerings compliant to future law, at least fulfill all these requirements of the guidelines. If you did that, you would be deemed reliable, which is one of the main conditions for getting a license, of course, and you were factually tolerated, not tolerated by law, not legally tolerated. Offerings were still and are still illegal in view of regulators, because legal means you obtained a license already. And so only those operators who are participating in the license application proceeding in Saxony-Anhalt were factually tolerated and can still continue offering their games, provided these are compliant. Everybody else be regarded illegal. And that also applies for the suppliers and payment service providers industry. They can serve these operators, the compliant operators, but the other ones would be blacklisted, and an operator a supplier or payment service provider could receive a hearing letter from a regulator if this company is still serving this B2B partners. That's the situation as it stands now. Possibly, we can expect first licenses very shortly, but this by rumors only. Nothing is really taken for granted. And while I have the opportunity, for those of you who are interested in sports betting, just today, the Regional Council in Darmstadt published the long-expected catalog of bet types, of permitted bets. We waited for more than 1.5 years. Now it's available. One can download it on the websites. Unfortunately, and as expected, it is most restrictive. That's something we need to review, but this is really timely. That's it for Germany. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jörg.
Thank you.
Fascinating. Do we have any follow-ups on that? I mean, in terms of what we have enough time, I think, for a couple more minutes. I mean, so for all the panel participants, while we've got Jörg online, what's your outlook for Germany? How do you see this market? It is, after all, Europe's biggest economy. even more so than the UK. How do you gents see the market playing for the next 2 years? Habanero, Betbazar, BETEGY, and Evoplay. Do you see great potential in the German market despite these restrictions?
Definitely, we see a great potential. We don't have much client there. This is why all potential is there. But this was probably due to what Georg mentioned. Everyone who we've been talking with previously was referring to lots of complications due to, like a law and inability to take bets on the various types. And this was like kind of restricting us into, I would say, like massive growth. We still have like few clients, but not much. So yeah, definitely huge potential looking forward. Thank you for that update. And I don't know, we'll probably Google where to find this list, but yeah, if you can share, will be great.
Fantastic. And Arcangelo, Vladimir and Ernest, any final points to add about Germany and your opinions?
I'll be very, very quick. Germany was a new notion for us anyway. Just as they regulated, we did receive an MGA license. So we hadn't really been operating into Germany before then. We hadn't really been touching the market. It is inevitably a massive opportunity for us. And this is another example. I would just like to touch on the fact that, as we said earlier, it needs to be highlighted as the industry started questioning itself and adapting very, very quickly to some of the, I wouldn't call them restrictions, some of the requirements that the law put forward, in particular, the taxation model and so forth. So once again, it's great to see the industry and the stakeholders react to this, adapt to this, and finding solutions to some of the perceived challenges that we get hit with. Just to close, it's a market with massive opportunities because we effectively, just as Alex was saying, we have very, very few clients at the moment. So we look forward to growing in there.
In theory, then, BETEGY has the biggest client roster in Germany then, with typical. Ernest, what do you think? Outlooks for the year for Germany? Any concluding thoughts?
That's not the only client there that we have, but I'm very, very, very optimistic actually that the market is going to rebound in terms of retail, and that it's going to still grow in online slots and online casino games. Not only Germany, all German-speaking countries as well.
Nice one. I like it. I like the confidence as well. Vladimir, any positive concluding thoughts to leave the panel with today?
Doesn't matter what they will create. Everybody is understand that we will come there anyway. And I mean everybody who is here. So, guys, all the market that will grow, like Germany, like Italy, and UK, and so on, will be, let's call it, conquered by the players of the market anyway. Doesn't matter what the restrictions will be there. Each company that respect itself, that are ready to meet such things, will be there, will receive certification, will receive license, and so on. So I hope the government will create a lot of blockers for us, but anyway, this is cool market, so I think we will continue growing there as well.
It's all about the solutions and not the problems.
Only. Don't speak about the problems. It's always like very, very sadistic to people. They already have the problems, and you're just reminding about this. No, you just provide something positive.
What was it? I think I know I've already paraphrased Churchill today, but the last one, what was it? Einstein said, "Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution."
I think, as I see, you are already a big lover of Churchill. Very, very cool guy was.
Fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much for all of you joining the panel today. To the audience, we hope that you had a good time and enjoyed the insights provided. I'm sure all of these gentlemen will be happy to talk to you on LinkedIn or anything else if you reach out. Otherwise, I'm sure you can look forward to meeting them at ICE or Let's Hope ICE or any other show coming up.
Let's Hope ICE. Hey, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, if not ICE, then make sure to save the date for Mare Balticum Gaming Summit in Vilnius. That's 12th of May, or Prague Gaming Summit. That's 21st of June. We will see you in person there. Until then, we will have some virtual opportunities as well. And thank you for joining us today. It's been nice to see you. Jörg, it's been nice to see you again. And look forward to catching up with you guys at the next meetup. Have a fun day and take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.